Welcome to the Luxury Listing Specialist Podcast with Michael LaFido, where top luxury agents reveal their best practices, plus interviews with real estate industry influencers, thought leaders, and luxury marketing experts. You'll come away from each episode with new strategies and tactics to dominate high-end homes in any market. And now for the latest episode of Luxury Listing Specialist. Here's your host, luxury real estate expert, coach, and trainer, Michael LaFido.
Welcome back to another episode of the Luxury Listing Specialist Podcast. I'm your host, Michael LaFido. You're listening to the right podcast if you're a newer agent or you're a seasoned veteran, whether you're with a boutique, brokerage, or you're with a big-time franchise. There's something for everybody. And just like on previous podcasts, we're always looking to fill voids, bring in different speakers, whether they be a top luxury agent, newer luxury agent, a seasoned veteran, or sometimes a strategic partner that can help take your business to the next level. And today's guest is kind of unique and different. First time I've had him on. I've seen him present at various conferences, from Who's Who in Luxury Real Estate. Him and I spoke at a Better Homes and Garden mid-year conference about a year ago. And then just literally at the time of recording this, in September of 2022, him and I spoke at the Alliance, the LGBTQ Alliance conference out in Vegas. It was a great event. And so I'm just, every time I hear him, I'm impressed and inspired, and he says a lot of things that I believe as well. And so without further ado, I want to bring on I consider him a friend, even though we're just kind of buddies in the industry. But Matthew, I want to make sure we give you the props. So tell everybody a little bit about you, your background, and I know today with COVID, you're doing a little bit more coaching, but tell everybody about who you are, where you came from, and welcome to our show.
Well, thanks for having me, Michael. Appreciate it. And I definitely do consider you a friend, so I'm glad that we have a chance to spend a little time here together. The short story bio, I guess, is 32 years ago, I had completed my degree in philosophy and was getting a degree in economics. And I sat next to a woman who turned to me one day and said, "You know what, man? You can talk an awful lot. You should be in real estate." And she actually became, she was a real estate broker. She became a great friend, taught me a lot about this business, also was both a client as well as a mentor to me in many ways. And one of the areas that I really enjoyed about being in the real estate industry was professional development. And I was also, I guess, too young to know that you weren't supposed to go to classes. You know, I loved classes. I loved learning from the people around me. And then, of course, I loved going back and sharing it with others, with friends, with other colleagues, etc. And that's what got me into professional development. And since then, I have been to 49 states and 31 countries where I've had a chance to share and also learn from other brokers as well. And some other, iterations along the way, but mostly it's been in professional development. It has been also in some technology aspects. We ran the largest help desk in real estate for about 10 years in the middle of the aughts. And then I have spent the last 12 years or so really focusing on two tracks: leadership development. So we do an awful lot with upper end C-suite directors, presidents, managers, and working also in the area of personal growth and personal development. Because one thing my mentor taught me many, many years ago is that if I want things to get better, I have got to work on myself, right? It's not just waiting for the market to get better, waiting for the right conditions, the right combination of interest rates and inflation and everything else. I have to constantly be sharpening my saw. And in fact, in the last few years, I've had to go from traveling to do 30, 40, 50 live events around the world to doing 200 or 300 virtual events, as well as 20 or 30 or 40 live events around the world. So even now, I'm continuously investing in myself and improving my skills. What is kind of funny is that, of course, now teaching online takes me back to what I was doing before I got into this business, which I actually used to do some talk radio at nights before I got into this business. So it's almost like full circle in a lot of different ways. And but it's been a tremendous journey. This is a fabulous business we are in. The people that we work with are, amazing insofar as they're entrepreneurial and committed and give 110% for those who are really doing this professionally. So to me, I'm motivated by going to work, and I'm motivated to help others be motivated at work. So just really a fun, I really stumbled upon the best career, I say.
Well, I too enjoy inspiring, educating, being around other agents and being a sponge, right? We can learn from each other. And the reason I have you on as a guest today is, there's a lot of uncertainty out there right now, or at least the media is pushing that, right? Recession, midterms, inflation, rates are around 7%. A year ago, they were at 3%, right? So all this, I do believe that we can have a backdraft, right? Where momentum in a positive way, rates are low, consumer confidence high, and the opposite of that is kind of you're going into the wind a little bit, and there's some downward pressure, and that's what the media is really pushing. I tell agents all the time, I believe life is what drives real estate, man. Somebody's getting married, somebody's relocating, somebody got that promotion, somebody got fired. Unfortunately, somebody's getting divorced, somebody's got a growing family, and life is what drives real estate, not what the interest rates are, who the president is, what's happening in Europe. But those can be definitely some downward pressures. And so, I wanted you to be on because as we're into November and we're coming on to 2023. It's weird saying that, but we're almost into 2023, and agents are goal setting. They're working on their business plans or what they can cut away maybe from marketing budget and what they should add more of. I want you to talk to us a little bit about, I'm a big believer. You hang out with 9 overachievers, you're bound to be the 10th. So tell me a little bit about, what do you do? What are you talking to these C-level executives? Because I think they're worried about churn. They're worried about agents leaving their brokerage for that help you sell flat rate company because, the split's better or they don't have to pay whatever. So what messages do you have for our audience that maybe have some uncertainty? Maybe this is their first turbulent time because they got licensed after the 2008 meltdown.
Those are all great questions. So let me actually pick up on something you said. If you hang out with 9 great people, you're likely to be the 10th great person, right? That's also true of your thoughts every day. So if you ingest 10 woe is me thoughts, you're going to have the 11th one, right? So I really hope that people who are listening to your podcast and other great sources out there look around and remind themselves that it's not as bad as we might accidentally lead ourselves or be led to believe. And the reason for that is twofold. First of all, let's back up for a moment. We are a business that occurs at the corner of life and change, right? So real estate classically is just as you described. People are moving not because of what they get, but of who they are becoming. They're not moving because they're getting a great rate, because it's a good price, because they're getting 2 sinks in the bathroom or something like that. They're moving because of who they're becoming, the next chapter of themselves or their family or their community or whatever that happens to be. And that's never going to stop, right? So there's still going to be plenty of people whose lives are growing and they'll be in this market. Now, whether we do 6 million sales or 5 million sales, 5 million sales or 4.5 or 7.5, that number is irrelevant because the percentage that you need is such a tiny amount that there's plenty to go around, right? Each one of us, there's more than enough deals to go around. And by the way, if we do 5 million sales in 2022, that's the same number we did in 19, 18, 17, 16, and 14. So those were years in which no one was complaining, in which people were practicing with rates between 4 and 6%, and they were able to make great outcomes for their customers, their clients, and themselves. So again, I'm trying to just put some things in some perspective here, if you will. The outlier was 20 and 21, not what we're experiencing right now. That's number one. Number two, the thing that I always think about is our job by definition is turning uncertainty into calculated risk. That's what we do. So it doesn't matter what the uncertainty was. If the uncertainty right now is prices falling or interest rates rising, we'll show people how to turn that into a calculated risk and move on with their lives. If the uncertainty was the pandemic, we'll show people how to deal with those circumstances. And we sold more homes during the pandemic than at any time in the last 20 years. And I could do this over and over again for any set of circumstances. By definition, what we do in sales, and specifically in real estate sales, is we take people who have potential for growth, but they have a hesitation. Should we sell? Should we sell now or in the spring? Should we sell before the holidays or after the holidays? Should we ask for more? Should we ask for? That's all uncertainty. And we bring our knowledge and our experience and our tools and our systems and our support and our management and our colleagues. And we say, here's a potential plan or 2 plans or 3 plans or 4 plans of calculated risk to help you sell. Or if it's the buyer, it's the same thing. Should I offer this or that? Should we buy now or later? Should we wait or should we rent? The bottom line is that's all uncertainty. So I guess my opening message for everybody is this is your job. And you, if you are doing this job well, if you're committed to it, which I believe is probably your listeners, Michael, this is what you're designed for. You're trained for, you're prepared for, you're supported for, you're resourced for, you have the companies behind you, you have the networks throughout to engage with. So the bottom line is, like, I don't think anyone should be freaked out at all. They should wake up every day, look in the mirror and say, if not me, then who? Who is the qualified person? If it is not your audience, if it's not us, to be able to help buyers and sellers and investors and appraisers and everybody in this business, everybody who touches this business, if it's not us who's there to help them, I don't know who it's going to be. And so I'm actually quite enthusiastic, quite bullish, if you will, about circumstances like this, because as uncertainty rises, the need for experienced professional help rises. And so I believe we're going to be in more demand than ever before. And to be quite frank, to be very transparent, I believe we're going to earn more than ever before as well, because when uncertainty rises, people are not looking for a discount. They're looking for an outcome, and great outcomes require the appropriate amount of compensation. And so in my mind, it's different, but it's not difficult. Those are 2 different things. It's different, but anybody who is worried about selling in the 7% interest environment has got to talk to some people. Talk to your manager, talk to some colleagues who've been around for a while. Anybody who's worried about making a great living with 5 million sales has got to talk to some other people, has got to get into some training classes. And I could just, go down the list of every concern that we believe we have, but we know how to do this. And we are actually not in a declining market. We are in a normalizing market. And the normal market is what we've built a beautiful industry to handle. And we should really have less fear. The only fear that we should have is that we psych ourselves out, or that we let ourselves get psyched out by, some naysayers out there who's, really their interest isn't our best interest. They're just trying to maybe sell some newspaper headlines or something.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I saw something recently on a social media platform that talked about the pros versus the cons of buying a home in the current market. And the list of the pros were, seller paid closing costs, seller paid buy down, seller paid repairs, seller paid improvements, price negotiation, pay less than asking price, no need to waive appraisal negotiation, no need to waive inspection negotiation, time to think, contingency contracts, first-time home buyers, no escalation clauses, and longer contract to close. And the cons of buying a home in the current market was higher interest rate. So the point is, what you focus on expands, right?
I think that's absolutely true. And, there's also another phrase that's going around that might actually go nicely with what you just described, which are all those wonderful, wonderful pros and that one little con. But this is an old phrase. It's been around longer than me, which is, look, you marry the home, but you date the rate, right? So let's be honest. Very few people live the full 30 years in their homes. Even the average, which has gone up, is barely over 11 or 12 years in their homes. And secondly, during that time, everybody finances, like everybody refinances. And so as a result, you might come in at 7 today, and in 4 years, you'll refi at 4. And you might get another stab at a 2% refi. But even if you didn't, 4, if you are getting great advice from your real estate professional and you are, you're what I like to say, level-headed about your ability to earn and spend, you're not punching above your weight in that case. then somewhere between 4 and 7 is actually the historical norm. And would it be wonderful if you get to 2% again? Well, the truth is, that might not actually be in your best interest, because 2% sparked a massive price run up. So you get a low rate on a massive price run up. So look, it all comes out in the wash. Here's what we've always said in this business to clients, which is, let's find the house that fits your needs, right? And then we'll get some of your wants, and let's make sure that you can afford it without obviously having to worry month to month or quarter to quarter, because it's supposed to be your home. It shouldn't be a stressful place for you. So, yes, I love that list. I think that list is actually a big set of positives. And I would just go one step further, and I would just say to real estate professionals, in addition to all those wonderful things that are great for buyers, those are also great for sellers as well, because 8 out of 10 sellers are going to go on to buy again. And so in the same way that they might feel like, oh, well, the market has turned on them, it's actually also turning for them as they go in the next. So it really is going to be fine for everybody here.
Oh, some really good points. So curiosity question for you, right? I mean, you're motivating others, you're giving plans and helping these C-level executives, and you're doing some coaching. What do you do to remain positive? What do you do? I call it the mindset is huge, right? It's like it's its own muscle, your brain. Like, what are you feeding it? I'll say to an audience, any audience, and I'll tell you the answer. I'll say to an audience, garbage in, garbage, and they all say garbage out. And I say, no, garbage in, garbage stays. What you feed your brain stays. Are you feeding it doom and gloom? Are you and so what do you do to make sure garbage isn't coming in, and positive, optimistic, glasses half full? What do you do?
Well, for me, the most helpful thing throughout my career, and this goes like way beyond just today's turn, and I've been through a few different turns, way beyond just COVID, for example. I try to remind myself that it really is the start to the day that lines up all the rest of my outcomes. And so I have a really, I would say, strong morning routine. And my morning routine, I try to get up every morning and follow some pattern of this routine. So I begin every morning, by trying to just think of one good thing that's happened to me in the last 2-3 days, right? It doesn't have to be huge, but just refreshing myself with an idea or a memory of something good that's happened. So I continuously recognize there's good things going on to me and around me. Then I try to set an intention for the day. My mentor used to say to me all the time, you need to be able to think about the end of the day at the beginning of the day. And at the end of the day, you want to be able to say, today was the kind of day when, and finish that sentence with something that you will be happy with. It doesn't have, you don't have to change the universe. You don't have to fix the economy. You don't have to, correct the industry. Today was the kind of day when, and it could be as simple as, I worked, calmly and effectively and enjoyed my output. Or today was the kind of day when I delighted a prospect or had a conversation with a colleague, or, whatever those things were. But the idea is I try to start with strong intentions every single morning. So first, see good things around me, start with some strong intentions. Now, I have some fun routines that I do. I try to listen to some really positive music or some recordings in the morning of other great speakers who get me ramped up. Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar, some of these classic guys and gals. So that always helps. And then honestly, I'll tell you the funniest thing that I try to tell salespeople all the time. Nothing gets me more excited than actually talking to my clients. And so if I want to get really positive every single morning, I don't read the news. I don't read the headlines. I don't, do that. I actually prospect by actually doing my job, right? And calling clients. By the way, I don't have prospective clients and I don't have past clients. I just have clients. If I care about them, it doesn't matter if they haven't paid me for 5 years. I don't call them past clients. They're still just clients. And it doesn't matter if they might pay me 2 years from now as prospective. I'm already treating them as clients. So prospecting to me is just the act of calling people that I know and love, and hopefully they know and love me. And just by talking to them, I get all jazzed up. And I think that, it's a funny thing. If you can be in a career where doing your job, like prospecting is your job, gets you energized for the day. And, I'm not calling to sell. I honestly just call and I ask simple questions. What's up? How are things going? How's your day? And then I just let them talk me into a good mood. And almost half the time, they also talk me into some new project. They'll also say, it's so cool that you called because I was just thinking. And again, off to the races we go. So, I think it's little things that can fuel up our energy every single day. Positive mindset, notice the good around you, set your intentions, and honestly, talk to the people you're supposed to be talking to anyways. And that should ramp up your attitude, your enthusiasm for doing your job.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good. Is there anything when you're talking to these C-level executives, you're talking to big influencers about 2023, changing the topic a little bit, anything proactive that agents should be doing now to prepare themselves in case there's a shift? I mean, of course, video is really big. I'm a big, having a YouTube channel, creating content, educational material for buyers and sellers and market updates. What recommendations, or what are you hearing, I should say, and what recommendations do you have as agents are planning their 2023 to stay top of mind awareness to their clients, past clients and current clients, as you call them, clients?
Clients, exactly. So I think the first thing that I hear a lot and I try to share a lot. So, I'm so in sync with my clients that sometimes when I call, they're saying what I would be suggesting to them anyways, which is a great sign. But here's the things that I'm hearing a lot and saying a lot. Number one, I think we have to do a little inventory, a little dusting off, if you will, of some things that might have gotten rusty. So for those of us who've been around for a while, some things might have gotten rusty over the past couple of years, like negotiating or creating a win-win outcome for all the parties, concessions, price reductions, even listing presentations might have got a little rusty. Marketing techniques like using YouTube, like you said, doing staging, handling effective open houses and showings. Those things might have gotten rusty when we only needed 5 hours to get 50 full price bids or overpriced bids, right? So I think we need to do like a little inventory, a little dusting off. Where did I get a little rusty? And I need to do some rehearsal and some practice. And the fall and the holidays are a good time to, retrain, repractice, get going again. Now, there are some of us that I totally am aware that there's a chunk, maybe 200,000 to 300,000 real estate professionals who never actually did that as primary learning because they entered the business when it was so crazy go over the past 30 months that, they never really learned a lot of those skills. So for them, it's time to take those classes, look to your broker, look to your board of realtors, make sure that you're getting those classes under your belt. So the essentials have never gone away. I think they're back and need to either be learned for the first time or dusted off. Now that would be number one. Number two is I think that this is the opportunity for us to show what we've learned over the past 2 years. So let's not just forget everything that we did during one of the much more challenging market circumstances, which is when they shut the economy down in March of 2020, and many realtors just couldn't even go in person anywhere. What did we learn to do? Video. We learned to do distance showings, distant open houses, Zooms for listing presentations, negotiating by Zoom, prospecting by Zoom, holding buyer webinars and seller webinars and things like that. I think now, again, make sure that those skills don't atrophy. But for some people, those are things that were considered like emergency things. Now they need to become normal. Now you need to just say, well, of course, every open house is also simulcast by video. Of course, if you can't make it in person, I'll drop in and do a video showing for you at a distance. Of course, my first pre-listing meeting is done by Zoom, and then I'll drop in and have the full listing presentation with you, right? So, those kinds of things that we did during emergent circumstances now can become the norm. So there is a lot of skills and technologies, even to be honest with you, getting your database in shape. When the last 2 years, when we weren't even sure when we were going to be able to get back to the office, those people who already had their database in the cloud, already had their follow-up systems automated in the cloud, they were using powerful systems for automatic marketing follow-up and staying in contact with their sphere of influence. they just kept going. They logged in from home and it was a no-brainer for them. It didn't matter whether they had their smartphone or an office computer to be able to work. So again, I think this is maybe even a wake-up call for some skills and techniques and tools, and also a reminder that we've already learned everything we need to know. I don't know anyone who shouldn't have access to every system and tool that they could imagine to be successful. Now the question is, do they have the will, the motivation to make sure that those are as good as they need to be to service their clients and to create the growth that they deserve?
You brought up the database and cleaning up your database. A good comparison to a database is going up in your attic and organizing your attic, right? It's something that you really don't want to do on a nice day out. It's too nice. Why am I going to go in the attic on a gloomy day? I don't want to go in the attic and clean up. Nobody likes organizing old boxes, but it's imperative, to get your ducks in a row and clean up your database. I don't know how you segment yours. I'm a big ABC guy, A being, you touch more often, B, they'll send you a deal, to C, everybody else. And, I don't believe you touch everybody as frequently, and the quality of touches might be different. Love your take on that.
So there's two things about my database that have always kept me sane and motivated to manage it. The first is this: my database is not gigantic. It is approximately 350 to 400 people who will help me they have helped me and will help me for my entire career. So there's a difference between a mailing database with 10,000, 15,000 people in it. I don't want to sit around and manage a bunch of people I don't know either, right? But I'm motivated to work with my database because it's 400 people that I love. And so going in and maybe cleaning it up, double checking that I've got their latest email address, or just even reminding myself of what we talked about the last time. And as I do that, firing off a quick email to them saying, thinking of you today, Michael, hope you're having a good day, right? And then just continuing to clean and organize and maybe sorting it into the make sure I talk to once a month, make sure I talk to once a quarter, make sure I talk to twice a year type of groupings. That's your ABCs. I think that's fine, but don't psych yourself out. Your database needs to be a couple of hundred people. Look, even if I do 50 sales a year out of a database of 300, I've got 6 times my formula there, if you will.
Right.
So that kind of helps. And then the second thing that I do is this: I try to make sure that if I'm organizing my database, I'm communicating as I go. So I'm just a big fan of I organize for 20 minutes every day. So for 20 minutes every day, I'll go in and I reach out to 3 people in my database. And reaching out is the process of also organizing. Are they in the right category? Did I write any notes? What was the last time I talked to them? Have I gone to their Facebook page and seen what's going on in their lives and made a note of it? Oh, they got a new car. Oh, they got a new puppy. Oh, they have a new baby. I don't know what, right? But then one of those 3 things means they either got a raise, they need a bigger yard, or they need a bigger house, right? All related to real estate. So I can actually maintain my database purposefully every single day while communicating. And now it's less of, I've got to go in the attic this weekend and do this for 8 hours, which is really good way not to do it, as opposed to, well, I'm having a cup of coffee. By the time this coffee cup is empty, I will have organized and communicated at the same time.
Killing 2 birds with 1 stone, being more efficient. That's one thing we teach. Agents work smarter, not harder. Where can people find out more information on you? Where to follow you? Tell us that, if you would, Matthew.
Well, it's generally pretty easy. So MatthewFerrara.com is obviously the place where you can find pretty much everything and anything. On Facebook, I would say look for my personal page. My business page doesn't get a lot of traction. I just hang out with me and my friends, and that's actually facebook.com/Philosopher Ferrara, because I got my degree in philosophy, so I might as well use that. And then if you would like to follow me on Instagram, I'm Matthew Ferrara 1, the number 1, where a lot of photographs from my travels and things and my general observations on life and stuff are done there. It's a little bit less real estate-y intensive, but it's just me, just more me.
I mean, that's one thing that I really, you're a good storyteller. And when I say that, I'm not saying make up stories. I'm talking about the philosopher side of things, appreciating little things. You've posted several various stories where, just day-to-day things where you take the time and talk to somebody and there's a backstory. We all have our story. And that's one thing I just want to let you know that I appreciate about you is, you're in tune and the respect that you give to people. And I appreciate that.
Well, wonderful. Well, I appreciate the opportunity to share any ideas that might be helpful to your audience. I know that if they've been listening to you, I know they've been getting great ideas with every one of your episodes for sure. And I think the thing that I would just maybe leave everyone with is this. Bottom line is, if not you, then who? You are the person we need right now, more than ever, to make sure that things can go well. And if it's only for the few people in your sphere of influence, just remember that's enough. Everybody does their few, and we will have done many altogether. So thanks for having me on.
Great advice. Matthew Ferrara, thank you. Great advice. Always good to talk to you. I appreciate you.
My pleasure, Michael. Thanks so much.
All right, everybody else, we're listening to another episode of the Luxury Listing Specialist podcast. Feel free to tune in on previous episodes. We've had some really good ones, and scroll through. And if you're getting value from this episode or a previous episode, please leave us a like, leave us a review, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, you name it. You can find it anywhere. We greatly appreciate it. Our guests aren't paid. I'm not paid. We're trying to raise the bar and bring value to the industry. And the best way you can thank us is give us a 5-star review if we've earned it. And if you have somebody that you'd like to nominate or feature on our podcast, shoot me an email, michael@marketingluxurygroup.com, michael@marketingluxurygroup. And the last thing I'll leave you with is our 6th in-person luxury designation training is going to be in Houston. The Houston Association of Realtors is hosting it. It's November 15th. We're offering a virtual option, but it's in person. We have sponsorships, so the costs are down. All the details can be found at luxurydesignation.com, luxurydesignation.com. And don't forget, each Friday, 11 a.m. Central, noon Eastern, we have our live stream called Luxury Fridays, where you can go to luxuryfridays.com or go to our YouTube channel, Marketing Luxury Group, hit that red subscribe, and you'll be notified when we plan to go live. We bring on various guests on live streams, and you can ask me anything in real time on our Luxury Fridays. I'm your host, Michael LaFido. Appreciate you guys listening. Until next time, you're listening to another episode of the Luxury Listing Specialist podcast. Make it a great day and prove others wrong.